I watched a Psych Substance video recently.
I watch them.
And shout out to Psych Substance because he's one of the few people that's, been paving the way for these type of conversations to happen on YouTube, which is, getting constantly demonetized. So, but one of the things that he was saying was that he had like a major epiphany. Mm-hmm. And it was one that I think you and I both kind of like thought about, but I feel like it clicked more with me when I watched that video that I was like,
which video
I should be
was it?
mindful of that. So he talked, this is actually a fairly recent video. I want to say he released it in the last couple of weeks. And he talked about how, he used to think that if just people just had the same kind of experience that I had, which woke me up, then anyone can. And I think he's starting to realize that, no.
Really?
I don't, and I kind of agree with him. I'm like, I don't think that just anybody can just wake up. I think people could just do acid and not fucking learn a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've asked you about that too.
Yes.
Like, what do you make of the people who just don't
miss the point?
Miss it. They just don't get it. Because I've seen it. I'm like, how? Like, especially of my own experience. I'm like, how can you miss this?
It seemed like it was the whole experience. But the thing is that you don't realize all of the things in your life that allowed you to be able to see that point of view.
Yeah.
That naturally were just part of how you've already grown up, or like situations that you found yourself in, and other things that make you that made you more capable of seeing that awakening in yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas there are other people who like they don't have any of that supporting shit. So then when they do the drug, they're just like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Look at how the wall moves, and then that's it.
That's it.
And I'm really starting to realize that like. What I like about this podcast is we get to talk about these things honestly. And for the people who are going to wake up, they totally can get the information that they need to be responsible and take that journey for themselves and hopefully test your drugs and all that other stuff that I like to talk about.
Yeah.
But like, it's not guaranteeing that these people are going to wake up,
right.
And it's made me realize that like the epiphanies that I've had, and I had them early on in my experience. It really only took a couple trips for me to really like get kind of this major shift that completely fundamentally changed my life. Mm-hmm. But I've had other friends who I've given, not directly, allegedly, but that I've like facilitated the experience for them, right? And some of them also had that waking up moment. And some of them still haven't had it yet. And it's not that they're not capable, just that they just didn't have it in the times that they did it. Yeah. And it made me realize that like there's no guarantee that you get that experience at all.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is setting an intention and like putting yourself into an environment where you can like really let it speak to you.
Yes.
And like just being conscious of everything that's happening. So I think if you just, take a handful of mushrooms and go to a concert, you're not going to get a lot of, you'll probably see some cool stuff, but you're not going to notice the stuff that really needs to like.
So do you think that there's a minimum level of conscious awareness that you need in order to wake up? Or do you think that doesn't matter and there's some other variable that causes people to either wake up or not wake up?
That's an awesome question. I think it's hard to say because I've always been a super introspective person. Mm-hmm. I think that there has to be some kind of like introspection. Yeah,
there's got to be a desire to look inward.
Yeah.
You can't have no desire to look inward or be alone with your thoughts at all, and then you trip, and then all of a sudden you figure it all out. Like no, because I feel like your ego, which is still somewhat present on the experience, especially depending on the dosage.
Depending on how much you take, right?
Depending on the dosage. But let's say you didn't take enough to have an ego death or anything like that. Some of that is going to cling to some of the old things.
Yeah.
And it might be, if your consciousness isn't raised high enough, might not be powerful enough to overpower, or to not overpower the psychedelic or to.
I remember getting to the point where like the first trip that I did, I was like literally felt like I was outside of myself, and I would see my brain go through the normal pattern.
I was gonna say, you got more than one brain,
dude? I got 3 brains, dude.
Holy shit,
3 brains.
Next level.
I was watching. I literally felt like I was watching my mind go from like a third person perspective. It felt like, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you so mean to yourself?
Yeah.
Like those kinds of insights.
Like the self-talk. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, and just realizing that I have like a lot more anxiety than I let people do. And it was all just like stuff that I knew deep down about myself, but just to get that, and I had gotten a lot of perspective from it from meditation, and still do. But like, it was kind of like you get for a few hours the feeling of what it's like to be enlightened, like truly enlightened, and like the realest sense of the word.
Yes, but it's temporary.
It is temporary.
And in order to make it permanent, then you need to have those integrated experiences where you really find a way to incorporate that perspective in a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Because
that magic will fade.
Yeah.
And what I've found, and this is something that I discovered on that heroic dose that I took somewhat recently, where I want to achieve these states without psychedelics. I really do. I still enjoy them, you know, like I'm really glad I tripped in Colorado. It's amazing, you know, but that was a more recreational thing. I wasn't like looking, I'm at the point now in my life where I just don't think I have that much that I need to find out.
I was going to say that exact same thing. Like maybe that's just become more of your natural state now.
I think it is, because I'm at the point now where like I know that I value my time, and I know that I want to spend it how I want to spend it, and I know what's important to me, and like I don't feel like I need some big revelation on life itself. I kind of know what my purpose is. I kind of know what I want to overall accomplish. So like for me, the psychedelic experience now is like to maybe check on myself, because, you know, momentum is a real thing, and you can get caught up in the momentum of some shit, even if there's some good things in that momentum that you still might every once in a while need to stop and like figure out like, well, where am I at, you know? And I think that that's what that last trip was, whereas like I wasn't looking for like a major revelation, because I'm already kind of on the right path in terms of where I want to go. But what I did want to do is figure out, you know, why am I not fully achieving where I want to be?
Yeah. They could be really useful tools for that.
Yeah.
Just to get like all of your bullshit out of the way and really look at something.
Yeah. And you know, I think there's a great deal of work on the front end of the psychedelic experience, which is like, how can I work through all of my past trauma and get to the point where I'm caught up to the present?
Yeah. Because
we are constantly battling demons of our past all the time. Mm-hmm. Everybody is. Yeah. Imprints that happen in pivotal moments in your life as like a young child or in adolescence or teenage years, whatever. Certain moments that you just remember. It's burned into your brain. Shit that you're like, never going to do that again because of that, even though that might not even be the right conclusion, right? And you have to work through those things. And I feel like I've worked through quite a bit of those things. To the point where I feel like I've caught up to the present. I could be wrong. There could be some shit in the past that I've suppressed that I am not aware of, you know, that might come up in the future and future trips at the right moment when I'm ready to see it. But as of right now, from my perspective, I've dealt with those things. Mm-hmm. And I'm at the point now where I just have to deal with what's in front of me, which is awesome. And that's powerful. That's freeing. That's something that I hope everybody can find. Yeah, because
that's like the present moment is all you have.
It's all you got.
It's all you will.
And so if you're still clinging to the fucking past in some way,
past and future are just ideas. Mm-hmm. And that sounds like woo woo, but it's like it's true.
Break it down for me, Daniel. Break it down for me. Let's solidify that for somebody who maybe they see that as like, what does that even mean, dude? Yeah, you know. You're speaking to a skeptic now. So what would you say to a skeptic of like, yeah, but like the past was real when it was present, and the future will be real when it becomes the present. So why can't I think about those things? Yeah,
but like the past and future are really just, so the future is anticipatory, and the past is just a memory. Mm-hmm. They're just thoughts that are occurring in the present. Mm-hmm. And once you establish the muscle of mindfulness and meditation, you start to see that thoughts are really just like transitory, impermanent appearances in consciousness in the present moment. So consciousness is, I would say all you really have experientially is consciousness and its contents. That's the only thing that's really, really real. Mm-hmm. I mean, the self, debatable. I don't seem to think that it's real, like in a really real sense. It's real insofar as it's useful to you. Mm-hmm. Free will, we can talk about. That's like kind of the same idea.
We're starting to get there.
It's a little more controversial, but but like all of that stuff is just other thoughts that are just occurring in the present. So, and I would say that like thinking is something that really just happens to you. It's not something that you really do. Mm-hmm. So like you're more
something the brain does,
right? But you don't really.
You don't control the brain's thoughts any more than you control the blood pumping.
Right. So you don't control the events that happen in your prefrontal cortex that lead to the decisions that you make, really.